Okay, looks like we're recording. I have to say, this is my fifth attempt at recording this video. I was just about ready to give up, saying today's not the day. I'm still not sure we're going to get through this. At one point, I thought I was recording it, and it wasn't recording it. Next time, I thought I was wearing the microphone. I wasn't wearing the microphone. And then a couple other little things happened. It just wasn't happening. So I'm going to try one more time. So here we go. Well, what I wanted to talk to you about today was a verse that we used to chant at the monastery. I used to go to Zen Mountain Monastery, and it's actually chanted in, I think, everywhere in this lineage that I was a part of. The lineage was founded here in the United States by a Japanese fellow by the name of Taizan Mizumi. And my teacher was transmitted to by Taizan Mizumi. His name was John Daido Lori Roshi, and he founded a monastery in upstate New York in the Catskill Mountains called Zen Mountain Monastery. And during silent retreats, they held week-long silent retreats once a month. They would chant a verse at the end of the first morning block of sitting. Blocks of sitting were usually either 2 periods or 3 periods long, depending upon the time of the year. The 30-minute sitting periods with a little 10-minute meditation in between. And at the end of the block of sitting, we used to take what's called a rakusu, for those of us who had one. I'll explain more in just a minute. We used to put it on top of our head. I know it's a little silly. And then we used to do this chant. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagatha's teachings, saving all sentient beings. Now, actually, I should have been putting this on in the middle of the chant, but I'm not going to start this video all over again one more time. But anyway, this is a rakusu. And a rakusu is apparently symbolic of the robes that monks used to wear in the ancient days. And they were poor, and they typically were wanderers or monastics, and they didn't have money, couldn't afford clothes. So they used to gather up scraps of cloth as best as they could and sew them together, and that's what they wore. And, you know, things have changed, but it's become somewhat symbolic of becoming a monk, whether you're a lay monk or a monastic. Monastics tend to have other robes. In this Kesa is something I sewed together by yours truly. It was sewed many years ago when I formally committed myself to this lineage and to Buddhism and became a student of John Daido Lori Roshi. It says here, Vincent Fortunato has, on this day, 10th day of May, 1992, received the 16 precepts of the Buddha and has been given the Dharma name Shu Ryu. Shu Ryu. Shu means pearl. Ryu means dragon. So, as it was explained to me, pearl of the dragon. You can even see the little tail on the dragon. The pearl of the dragon. And I've used this name throughout the years, and I've flipped it around a bit and Americanized it. I use it as the name of my Sangha, Dragon's Pearl Sangha. And on this side of the rakusu, is the verse that we chant. So let me put this away, fold it up. Oops. Here we go. Be with you in 1 second. Put it back in its sleeve. So let's talk about this chant. Let's talk about this verse. The verse of the Kesa. The Kesa is another robe that monks actually wear, monastics wear. This is called the Rakusu. The verse of the Kesa. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagatha's teachings, saving all sentient beings. Excuse me. Vast is the robe of liberation. Let's start there. Vast. Vast is the robe of liberation. Well, vast. What does vast mean? Is something that is vast, does it have any boundaries? Does it have any edges? Can you find an end to something that's vast? It's infinite. No boundaries, no edges, no center. It's infinite. It's vast. Vast is the robe of liberation. Well, we know what a robe is. This is symbolic of a robe. But what are they talking about here? This robe of liberation. And it's vast. Well, this appears pretty finite to me. This is a metaphor. This robe of liberation. Well, let's talk about liberation for a second. What is liberation? To liberate oneself really is to see through the illusion of a separate sense of self. To see through the illusion of the me with which we identify. We all identify. We think we're someone. We're given a name. We point. Who are you? I'm Vincent. It works. It's necessary for communicating and operating in this perceptual reality of ours. The problem is we believe it. We identify first that there's a me here, and this me has a name. And we point, I'm me. It's me. See, me. Just, I was going off on social media, we've become a me society. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Selfie sticks, look at me. It's all about me. How many pictures of me can I post? Well, all that follows from this false identification that there is a me. So liberation is really when you see through the illusion of the me. And when you see through the illusion of the me, you sort of realize what you really are, which is this boundless, timeless, infinite, vast, we could say open, spacious awareness. Words are inadequate, but we use them anyway as pointers. This infinite presence, that which exists prior to language. In fact, all the skillful means of these disciplines, meditation being the dominant one, or zazen in Japanese Zen, is to rest as this open, spacious awareness. Excuse me, 1 second, I have to pause this. Sorry. going for a hike this afternoon in just about a half hour. What is it that's prior to language? That's the point of investigation. What is it that's prior to thought? When you look, you'll realize, perhaps, you'll see that there's nothing there. And yet, this nothingness, this emptiness, is what you are. And it contains everything. It is everything. So vast, infinite is this robe of liberation. Now, a robe is something you wear. So it's not like you wear liberation. What it's saying here is you are this robe of liberation. You are the vast robe of liberation. You're it. And it's infinite, and it contains everything, everyone, every sentient being, every particle of dust, every virtual atom or element. That's the pointer. Vast is the robe of emptiness. You are vast. Vast is the robe of liberation. I said emptiness, same thing. Vast is the robe of liberation. Or to be liberated means to realize that the me is empty. And when that's realized, that can be very transformative. Because no longer will you operate the same way. Because now you don't see yourself as separate and distinct from others. Daido Roshi used to say, who you are and what happens to you are the same thing. Who you are and what happens to you are the same thing. There's no separation. It's only in our minds we create separation when we first adopt the story of me. Once we do that, then there's a you. Now we got separation. There's me and there's you. There's observer and observed. There's subjective, there's objective. But to awaken to your true nature, to realize your true nature, is to realize, to see through the illusion of the me. The me is just a thought. The me is just a thought. What's prior to that? This is a pointer. Vast is the robe of liberation. You are this vast emptiness of liberation. That's what you are. It's a beautiful pointer. Vast is the robe of liberation. And go to the next line. A formless field of benefaction. Kind of saying the same thing. A formless field of benefaction, a formless field. This vast robe of liberation is a formless field, formless. Because what you are, this vast emptiness, cannot be found. It's formless. It's a formless field. It's a metaphor. You think of a field as just sort of an energy field. That kind of gives it substance. So we need to be careful. I don't know what There might be different translations of whatever language this was originally written in, but a formless field, it works. Because even if you close your eyes for a second and just observe your own consciousness before a thought arises, notice it's formless. There's no edges. There's no boundaries. You can't even point to it. It is what you are. The eye can't see itself. There's a little trick there. I don't know if I'll get to it today. Like this eye can't see itself unless there's a mirror. But a mirror is just a reflection. In fact, I think I'm going to get to it right now. The mirror is just a reflection, but it really can't see itself. All it sees is a reflection of itself. Likewise, what you are can only be seen by its reflection. And what is its reflection? All this. This is its reflection. Life itself, the phenomenal universe itself, all perception itself, what you seem to see and hear and feel and taste and touch is a reflection of this formless field. You are the formless field. I have another video called How Do You Know You're Aware? I recommend you go watch that one. It delves into that point a little bit more deeply. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I can't spend too much time. I'm going to be leaving in a few minutes. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Well, benefaction here, beneficence, benefit, is kind of pointing to the opposite of suffering. Because when we identify with a me, when we identify with a sense of self, that there's a separate me here, that's when we suffer. Because not only do we identify with the fact that there's a me here, now we create layers upon layers of storyline to go with it. We have ideas about who we are and what we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to accomplish. We have stories about what should have happened to us or what could happen to us or what ought to happen to us or how life could be or should have been or ought to be. And we suffer. We suffer because we are grasping onto ideas. So when you realize your true nature, you grok the infinite, boundless nature of your own beingness, your own essence, your own emptiness that you are. There's nothing to hold on to. To the mind, it's a kind of a scary place to be because the mind is all about grasping. It's about holding on. But you have to let go. So this formless field of benefaction is sort of saying, seeing this formless field that you are is ultimately okay. It's you. This formless field of benefaction. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagatha's teachings, saving all sentient beings. Tathagatha is a name for the Buddha. I wear the Tathagatha's teachings, this vast robe of emptiness, this vast robe of liberation. That's what you are. So when you wear the robe of liberation, when you wear the Tathagatha's teachings, you are manifesting your life from the perspective of that vastness, where you no longer identify with a separate me. Sure, for all practical purposes, we live life as individual units. We go to work and pay our bills and have relationships and friendships and go for hikes. Somebody calls your name, you answer. But when you wear this vast robe of liberation, you're wearing the essence of the Buddha's teachings, that you are life itself. You are life itself, living itself through these apparent biological units. I wear the Tathagatha's teachings, saving all sentient beings. Now, the saving all sentient beings is part of the Bodhisattva vow in Mahayana Buddhism. The Bodhisattva vow is that the Bodhisattva is an enlightened being that vows to not reincarnate until all sentient beings are saved, enlightened. It's an impossible vow. In fact, we chant the 4 Bodhisattva vows in Zen Buddhism. There's various different forms, but one form goes like, sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unattainable. I vow to attain it. These are impossible tasks. Sentient beings are numberless. Numberless. How can you possibly save them all? Desires are inexhaustible. Inexhaustible. I vow to master them. How? The dharmas are boundless, endless. I'm sorry, the desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. How can you put an end to desires that are inexhaustible? The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. How can you master something that's boundless, endless, infinite? The Buddha way is unattainable. I vow to attain it. How do you attain that which is unattainable? By seeing through the illusion of the me. And realizing you are this boundless, infinite emptiness that contains all things. And when that happens, the Bodhisattva vow is realized, because there's no beings to save. There's no desires to end. There's no dharmas to master. And you cannot ever attain the Buddha way because you are the Buddha way. You can't attain in it. You can't attain it. There's nothing to attain. One of the biggest fallacies of practice is we think we're going to attain something. No. The best you can do is lose something. You lose your identification with yourself. You lose your identification with the me. This is the complete opposite of what we're trained to do in this society, which is to make it all about me. To make it all about you, to find yourself. Yeah, I gotta go find myself. Well, you'll never find yourself. There is no self to find. The self is an illusion. The mere thought of having to find yourself leads to more suffering. All you can do is drop it. Drop the self. And then you will manifest the Tathagatha's teachings. You are the Tathagatha. You are the vast robe of liberation. You are the formless field of benefaction. You are the Tathagatha's teachings. And you, because you're infinite, boundless, emptiness that contains everything, are none other than all sentient beings. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagatha's teachings, saving all sentient beings. So let's save all sentient beings. There you go. It's just this. You're this. You are this. None other than this. Well, it's time for me to change my clothes and get ready to go for a hike in the foothills behind my house. So, thank you for listening.